Hello, and welcome back to That's So Fashion. I'm your host, John, and as you know, my counterpart here, Chris. And we are joined today with pattern cutting mogul and M&S Destination contestant, Daylan. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for
It's
coming
an
on.
honor. It's like, despite being like filmed for a TV show, I actually hate like being behind a camera.
Oh,
In front of a camera.
In front of a camera.
front of a
Yeah.
But you look so good in front of a camera. You need to be seen.
Thank you. I was so shiny on the show as well. Have you noticed?
I've been too in awe of your work to notice.
And my outfits.
And your outfits. Yeah. We will be touching on this shortly.
I know. I worry about being in front of, behind, whatever, in front of the camera myself. It's not really my favorite thing to do, but you kind of got to get used to it after a while.
Yeah, me too.
No. I think you crave the
You're
attention
natural.
of the camera,
What do
you
and
mean?
without it, you would shrivel up and, you know.
Well, it's just a gift.
You definitely capitalized on the camera on the show. All your little tea sips.
And
Yeah.
I was really enjoying the cutaway facials. Wait, let me rephrase. The cutaway facial expressions.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. Where they were getting all of my stupid reactions.
Well, I was collecting all those screenshots for you from the show, and it's every shot is like a vacant stare.
Completely wiped. There's nobody at home. Yeah, welcome. Thank you so much. Today's episode is
5,
and
Yeah.
we're focusing on, thank you, because I do keep thinking it's 4.
It's all right.
We're focusing on pattern cutting, pattern drafting, everything pattern.
Yes. It is our creative pattern cutting for the design industry episode. And it's going to be
Beautifully
fabulous.
put.
Sounds so formal.
I know. It's
But I'm
so
the
good,
formal
isn't
one of the two of us.
he? Yeah.
I get that.
He knows his onions. He knows. There's very little that John doesn't know, actually.
No,
Well,
it's
that's very
onions.
Yeah.
I've never heard that phrase before.
you
Have
not?
you?
I don't know what that is.
It's just a phrase to say you know your stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are there many onions?
Well, there's many layers to an onion, I suppose. Maybe that's
Yeah,
where it comes from.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm Canadian. We don't really say that there, but I'm sure I could find somebody who's heard it before.
Maybe. Welcome to the onion episode.
Yes.
This is where we talk all things onion.
Yes.
Shall we kick it off with a question or two? I think that's right.
I think
because
so.
I'm so excited that you're on our pod,
Thank you.
especially the pattern cutting one, because you are so talented when it comes to it. So we've pre-prepared some questions. Forgive the
Ask away.
informal app opening on the show.
I am but an open book.
Excellent. So the very first question I want to ask is, you are so talented and so thoughtful with your pattern cutting skills and how you approach fashion. What did you always plan on mastering this skill first, or is it something you've adapted on the way?
Interesting question. So I studied fashion design
Mhm.
at university. It was a 4-year degree. And you go in with that fantasy of being a fashion designer and you
Mhm.
think you're going to design clothes and have a brand and it's going to be really chic. But I think the reality in being in London, where fashion is so saturated, after I graduated and when I realized that the entry into design is a rich person sport,
Mhm.
I quickly figured out a way how to generate an income from my newfound skills, and so dove straight into freelancing as a pattern cutter, and also a sample machinist,
Mhm.
because I think they have played in tandem for me during my time in the industry. And so, yeah, I just quickly started freelancing for small brands trying to start their own collections. So I'll go into their studio and pattern cut and sample their first
Wow.
initial sort of items that they then take into factory or whatever.
Mhm.
So I didn't intend to be a pattern cutter. I always thought when I was at university that pattern cutting was quite dull because it's a very linear,
Mhm.
black and white, right or wrong sort of thing. But once you actually practice it and you understand it better, you can use it and manipulate it to push what you can do with the garment. And
That's amazing.
that's the answer to that
Yeah.
question.
That's fabulous.
That must sound similar for you.
Oh, absolutely it does. And we'll come back to that in just a moment. I'm just curious, where did you study fashion design in university?
So funny. I've been asked that a few times, right? And I would always say like, well, what's the most ghetto university in London? And 9 out of 10 times, people always say what my university actually
Oh, really?
is. And I think it's hilarious that it has a reputation of being ghetto. It's the University of East London.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it's not fashion university.
No.
It's more like architecture and
Mhm.
science. But what they do at University of East London is they teach you to be employable. So
Oh,
you don't.
nice.
It's a fashion design, but you don't learn how to design. You learn how to pattern cut and make.
Yes.
Because they're employable skills.
Right.
And I've quite a lot of my clients in the past have been from really super nice posh universities like Institute Maragoni and St. Martin's and LCF, where their students are taught to design, but not necessarily how to pattern cut and sew. So it's been quite lucrative for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
They haven't learned how to do that.
Yes.
That's amazing. Actually being like set up properly in terms of like, and not to throw shade on unis at all, but in my personal experience, I don't know if yours was different, that you're not taught employable skills, you're taught creative skills.
Which is good if what your end goal is going to be like on the creative side of the fashion industry, like design. But in order to like break into the design sphere, it's like in London, it's so difficult because you have to intern unpaid for X amount of time, which you then have to support yourself, on the side. Then you more often not have to do a master's at a reputable university. You can't just do a master's anywhere because it's not going to get you anything. There are these sort of like A-list universities that are a one-way ticket into a design role. Westminster, LCF, St. Martin's, RCA. They're all the big ticket items that get you these jobs.
Yeah.
And they are known, especially CSM, like they're known for having prejudice on who they let into their universities. Like they are for people who are already someone, they're kids of people that are already in the industry or kids of princes and princesses. And and I'm not a princess in that respect.
What people may think, I'm sure.
So yeah, I had to be resourceful.
That's wild though. It's one of those stereotypes with the fashion industry that is actually true.
It's very true. And it's very true even today.
Yeah. You kind of think you have to, that old cliche of it's who you know, not what you know. Is so apt. It's quite infuriating.
I think they do have a quota to, to let some students in who are not from these like affluent backgrounds, but that just makes it even more difficult for people like myself. There's thousands of us trying to get those 3 spots on an 80-person degree. That aren't from those backgrounds. So, I mean, it's all like, it's unspoken. They don't exactly have that on their applications.
No, of course
It's a perception that I have of those universities, whether it's true or not. I mean,
but that's the power of the reputation, isn't it? Of that institution. They don't have to say it.
I'm sure there's people that are going to listen to this and be like, that guy is wrong.
Absolutely, you're not wrong. Like it's very much, no matter what angle you come from in terms of fashion, everyone knows that is the case in some way because everyone has to battle the same stuff to try and get in.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you graduate from a fashion design degree and you want to start your own brand. You need capital. You need money for that.
Absolutely.
And in London, I don't see a feasible way to post-grad generate enough of an income to support yourself and start a brand.
Yeah.
Without outside influence.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I moved to London completely on my own with not even 2 red beans struck together. So
wow.
I worked a million jobs through uni, and it's been tough to get started and get your reputation and sort of like make your mark as a cutter machinist. It's hard.
Isn't that reassuring though, in a way? Well, maybe it's just my rose-tinted view of it, but as someone who has got to know you relatively recently, I'm seeing you at where you are now and the skill set you have and how talented you are and how attention to detail you are, and you really put your all into it and produce the most gorgeous things, but no one else ever really sees your journey to that point. The work you've put in, the hours you've put in, like you say, the multiple jobs, I'm sure you've had many, many, many late nights behind a machine or in front of the computer or researching in a library, or however it was. Nobody sees that level of work.
Well, that's because fashion is superficial.
Yeah.
People only want the product and the fantasy that you're selling. They want to be part of that that false fashion persona.
Mhm.
They don't care about the
social media sell.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if I put on my Instagram, you know, a sob story about how I'm broke all the time and how no one appreciates me, like, no one's going to take that seriously.
No.
People don't care about that. They just want the next trend. They want the next fad. They want the next big sort of thing, movement to be part of.
But I mean, that's why I mentioned the work beforehand, is because you don't necessarily, and it's the same with all of us. I mean, the amount of work that you've done over the years and the journey you've made, like John's got shoes in the V&A. Yeah.
Which is so wild. I mean, talk about like really an absolute achievement. That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
It is very cool, but I'm not one to like play up on those things. So I'd rather, you know,
no,
keep
you're
it
too
to
humble
myself.
for that.
Now's your time.
That's why I'm doing it for you, because it's next level amazing. You know, like,
that's very kind.
Who has stuff in the V&A? Oh wait, you do. You know, but that
it is an achievement.
But the journey from there, from, you know,
yeah, of course,
shoe design to where you are now.
Well, I studied a long time in university. I did several degrees over 8 years.
Wow.
And I love education, and I wanted to go and do a PhD, and I put it to one side. And we spoke about this previously, but I am a little bit annoyed with myself that I didn't do that when I had the opportunity. But I had got a really good job opportunity, which led to the V&A, and it was kind of.
What was that?
That was working for a brand in London doing luxury footwear.
Wow.
And so, but before that, I was a student, and I was a student at LCF, and I was a student at Cordwainers, and then LCF, and then Cordwainers. And so it's interesting hearing your perspective on these sort of, you know, designer universities. But as an international student, I'm in a different position. Like, it's not. On one hand, you could say that, you know, as an international student, you'd be able to just apply and get in anywhere, no problem. They just want your money. They don't care. They have a quota to fill. But it didn't really feel very much like that with myself. I still had to work on a portfolio and prove to them that I, you know, was what they wanted, because they also had to provide me with a visa. Right. And that's not necessarily something that institutions want to do. It's expensive, and they're responsible for it, and all sorts of things. And so I just view it maybe slightly differently. But when it came time for me doing my master's, that's when it felt a little bit more like, as you were describing, like, who do you know exactly? How do you get in? What's the connection? And
oh, that's gross.
You know, well, it's true, but I mean, it's the fashion industry. It is what it shouldn't be, but it is what you kind of expect.
I mean, it perpetuates itself, doesn't it?
It does. And I was very fortunate. I applied for an MA at we don't have to get into it, but at a very fancy university. I was put on a wait list when I wanted to do a women's wear MA. But while I was on that list, it was a wait list, I decided I didn't want to do women's wear, and I wanted to do footwear. And I did call on my connections at the international office at LCF, because they'd already known me for so many years. And I said, like, I don't want to do that anymore. How can I get in to do a footwear master's? And it was a little bit like, well, it's August and the course starts in September. So bring me your portfolio and I'll see what I can do. So I was very fortunate, but it wasn't because I was calling on, you know, King Papa. It was like, who do I know that knows me within the university, that's seen me here for the last, at that point, it would have been 5 years, and helped me out. And I was really fortunate. There was another Canadian working in the office at the time, although she's from Vancouver and I'm from Toronto. And she was like, look, leave it with me. I will see what I can do. I'll drop it on a desk somewhere. I'll pretend it's been there all along.
Yep.
And it worked in my favor. And I got a phone call like 2 weeks later. Oh, your portfolio is great. Are you willing to come in for an interview? And I was in London at the time. I hadn't been back home. And it just worked in my favor. But
that's not really, that's kind of slightly, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but it's ever so slightly different, because that's off the back of your own work.
No, I appreciate that. And I was trying to make that distinction. But I feel like not everywhere you would be able to do such a thing if you didn't know somebody. It's just that idea that knowing the right person can really make a difference.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go to an MA somewhere, you know, you were at University of East London and you wanted to be at CSM and you didn't know anyone there, even someone in a back office somewhere, how would you have that in a month before the course started to be like, look, like I changed my mind, help me out? Like you just wouldn't be able to.
MAs are expensive.
Yeah.
MAs are expensive, especially material heavy, expensive, and I think we can all agree that an MA definitely helps fast track you into a job within fashion.
It does,
right? So,
absolutely.
Like, how did you like get through that? Like, how did you support yourself through that MA?
Very good question.
I mean, I know that's quite a shady question. I know that's I'm sort of
Not
like
at all.
fishing at that, but like. I feel like we're quite opposite ends of the spectrum.
Sure.
So like, how was your journey through that?
It was fine. The university, so Cordwainers is where I did my footwear MA. They were fabulous. I
actually don't know anything about that university.
So Cordwainers is a guild. It's a footwear guild, and it has university. Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot. It's like steeped in a rich history. It's very cool. I went to a dinner years ago that I was invited to, and
was it an Eyes Wide Shut dinner?
No, unfortunately not. No, it was a lovely black tie dinner though, and there were a lot of people there representing the guild with all of these like different medals that have been passed for like, you know, hundreds and like 1,000 years.
That's
or whatever.
iconic.
It was very cool, and not at all what I expected. I just thought it would be a bunch of like people from the university, but it wasn't. It was people who, as I say, are members of this guild or have had things passed down, who are patrons to it and whatnot. And so they were there being honored. It was very interesting. But Cordwainers is under the UAL umbrella.
Oh.
And so as a result, they're very fortunate as the university to have donations and all sorts of things. So we had a great stockroom filled with all the, actually, you would love it based on what you do, all of the remnants and offcuts and old bolts of all sorts of materials, footwear, artifact, which is sort of like accessory, and millinery, so hat making related.
Wow.
So anything you could possibly need was there. And again, if you're me and you're friendly and you have a relationship all these years with these people, you would have been friends with the woman who manned the stockroom. And you would have been, I mean, I graduated years ago, so at this point I'm not worrying about it, but you would have been allowed to go in and pick whatever you wanted, and they wouldn't have written down the square footage that you had taken. So it allowed me to, you know, build that relationship, keep it going. And she'd call me in, and Katie, and she'd like, look, we got like a whole bale of Burberry's leather that is suitable for footwear. And I know you're in footwear. So come take your first pick, take whatever you want. I'm not looking.
You've literally got first dibs on it.
Right. So it's like all sorts of things like that. And it was very much the same when I did women's wear at LCF too. George was amazing. We were friends because I was, I don't know, respectable and nice or whatever it would have been. And by the time I was in my final year, it was, I'm going to lunch. You can come back, take whatever you want. Don't go too crazy.
Don't take the mick.
Take whatever you need. And I never did. I have to be honest. I always was respectable, and I wouldn't want to like rinse some of their fabric. You know, but you get amazing things. I ended up having this fabric that I didn't end up using, but I ended up making myself a 3-piece suit with that was this beautiful Loro Piana cashmere. Like oatmeal looked like amazing.
And working out of fabrics are just creme de la creme.
Oh, I know. And believe me, it's one of my favorite things that I own, but I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not made friends with George 3 years before. Like,
so it's testimony to
absolutely.
If you are nice.
Yeah.
In return, you
absolutely
put that out there.
Absolutely. And it makes a big difference, especially like you say, you're doing an MA. It's already expensive. As an international student, it's expensive, and you're, you know, worried about debts and loans and all these sorts of things. And so then you think like, how do you make it work? So if you do know people, even if it is purely through just, you know, being friendly, oh, I brought you a coffee like 2 years ago. Oh, I remember that time you were so lovely. Why don't you just come in and take a look? Like it does work in it can work in your favor.
And also it's just nice to be nice without
the
ulterior motive of.
Well, I often talk about this because I'm quite selfish because I'm super obnoxiously nice to everyone because I get something out of it. I get such a rush of positive feeling when I help someone.
Yeah.
You know, holding open a door and having them smile and say thank you because you've made their day for holding it. I am wet for that stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. I will carry your bags. I will hold the door open. I mean, on the show, I was finishing people's patterns. I was sewing on their buttons.
You were
I
great.
was snipping off their threads because I like it.
Yeah.
I love doing that.
I'd love that.
Yeah. You were such a beacon of how can we help each other.
That's
And I love
wonderful.
that. Yeah, that was really nice.
That
made
resonates
a difference.
with me.
Made a real
We
difference.
all had our roles, actually. It was quite interesting how we all had our I mean, we were all so different anyway.
Yeah.
Both aesthetically and in terms of like our practices. But all of us had our roles. You created the WhatsApp group. You were the glue. You kept everyone sane.
Well,
I'm not
Thank you.
surprised at all.
I appreciate that. You saying that. Yeah.
You were the glue.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny, isn't it, how you say everyone has their roles, which I actually agree with, but it was instinctive because it's our personality types. We all kind of instinctively fell into those kind of patterns to help each other. But I think that's why we work so well as a group, because we each feel, maybe a good way to say it is we each feel the gap that somebody else would need.
Who did you trust the least? No, I'm kidding.
Myself. No, the thing, trust for me, I will be honest, trust for me is a big thing. I think we've had conversations about this before, where the second trust is broken, you're dead to me. But I like to, it's a double-edged thing because I like to give trust. Oh, whoops. Sorry, people. I like to give trust quite freely, but I also value trust very highly. So it's something that's like, I'm giving quite a bit of my vulnerability to you by just being open and like what have you. But if it's, I mean, it's slightly off topic than the pattern cutting episode.
Oh, well,
but
that's all right.
If
part of the conversation,
if it's something that ends up being an issue where your behavior betrays what you're saying, or what you do is very different to what you say you're going to do, then I'm like, okay, you've kind of shown your true colors, kind of thing. But with us, literally what you see is what you get, kind of thing. Like, you have a very positive, collaborative attitude. How can I help? How can I help you progress somewhere? David's very calm. T's very maternal. Like you say, everyone has their own kind of ways. Sandeep was such a voice of reason. We kind of fell into a way of, I know we joke about the trauma bonding thing, but we fell into a way of, okay, we're in this together.
We were a cult.
Basically.
We are a cult.
What did you call me? Yeah, no, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. But talking of the show, I feel like pattern cutting episode.
Yes.
And another one of our glorious contestants from the show, we can't not talk on the panic of creating a pattern from nothing with minutes notice.
People were asking to see more of the pattern cutting side of stuff, and they were missing the process of actual garment construction. I mean, it is reality TV at the end of the day, so they show more of the drama and what's happening rather than the technical side of it, which I do think is a shame. I think it's a missed opportunity.
I agree with that.
But what people don't realize who have watched the show is that the second challenge of each episode, well, backtrack. Each episode is filmed over 2 days.
Yeah.
Right.
Challenge 1 on day 1, challenge 2 on the second day. And after challenge 1, we get the brief for the group challenge the following day. So we finished filming at like 7, 8 at night.
Yep.
We'd get back to the hotel. And then as a group, we would have to figure out what it is we were going to make. And then that night, we would have to pattern cut what we wanted to make for the following day.
Oh,
and I mean,
see.
the taxis were picking us up at like, 7 in the morning?
Yeah, we were in the car at 7 a.m. every morning.
So,
sorry, go on, please.
I was just going to say, we had, only that evening to decide what we were going to make and pattern cut it for the following day, because as soon as we got to the set, we were getting prepped and then we started filming. So when you do that over 2 weeks, I mean, it was like 12 hours a day, every single day.
Well, how you were not beyond exhausted, I don't know. That sounds
we were.
crazy.
I think what's interesting about episode 3 is, you do start to see fatigue on us. And,
yes.
It's
the wear and tear of such a tight schedule.
Yeah, you do see that.
Which is a shame, because you can't. You're right. They don't show enough of just the work, the amount of work that goes into sorting out the patterns and what you want to do for your team challenge. By this point, ladies and gents, if you've seen or not, I was gone. I left episode 2. Sorry about it.
Devastated.
Heartbroken.
Yep. As is the nation.
Yes.
The trade of the season was kicked off.
You're so right. So right. It's now just the nation to console the nation. So sorry about that. So episode 3, when I was watching it the other day, everything was fresh to me. Obviously I know how it worked, but what you had done, I had no clue. But you could definitely see that it was having a toll because the schedule was tough. It was really, really tough. And you don't know the second challenge until the day. And then you have to do all that work overnight, which goes unnoticed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's kind of poor planning because people are picking up on the disconnect between successes of the first challenge and the chaos of these group challenges.
Yeah.
Because people are tired, they're grumpy. It's very difficult to work collaboratively on such a short period of time with people that you don't really know.
Yeah, of course.
So
you've only just met.
Yeah, it was really stressful. And seeing people comment on, I mean, the first 2 episodes, they made me look like a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of people give me crap for it. And I mean, it's reality TV, so they edit it to give you these narratives or whatever. But, you know, episode 1, when I made that Mr. Blobby's Moo dress, what people don't know is that I was team lead that challenge. And when we had got back to the hotel, this is all linked to pattern cutting.
Sure.
That night, we had sat together and we had no idea what we were doing because we've just started.
Yes,
And
literally. Yeah.
So me trying to be diplomatic, I was like, okay, you guys design your stuff and then I'll design my stuff around yours, which was just the worst decision ever because I didn't have everyone's designs until 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my goodness.
And at 7.
Yeah.
So I had received everyone's designs at 6 in the morning, left at 7. What you don't see in that episode is I had to pattern cut that dress, as ugly as it was. I still had to draft that pattern
Of
from
course.
scratch
Yeah.
and make it in that time.
Right. You wouldn't have been able to do that in the evening had you didn't have the work.
So, which was just crazy.
Yeah. And a position to not put yourself in the future.
Well, exactly. I did learn a lot from that experience.
Yeah.
I then, in episode 2, they then painted me as a bloody dictator with tea, which just was not the case. I mean, you didn't see how I was teaching you how to French theme.
Yeah.
And we had like this whole moment together where we were French theming together and it was really beautiful.
Yeah.
And, you know, all the talk about how, you know, we created an outfit for a woman of color, which is why we chose the colors that we did. You're not going to put a white woman in pale yellow.
Right.
Of course not.
Right.
But a person of color in pale yellow is match made in heaven, gorgeous.
Yes.
So it was quite frustrating. And, you know, with the bonnet, they didn't talk about any of that culture with Tendai.
I was quite disappointed,
Zimbabwe, and you know, it was such a shame.
Yeah.
For that. Again, it's down to the, you know, edit and painting those narratives or whatever. But
for me, especially those kind of episodes, because you don't see what each other do you? So you're kind of wrapped in your own world of what you're doing and what have you. But you still know what happened, even though you're not focusing on it. So you know that, oh, hang on, that edit paints this, but actually I remember that and that happened as part of this. And it's not how you're portrayed in episode 2, I think it was 2, wasn't it? Vastly is so different to how you actually are and who you actually are as a person. Like, I mean, we said it earlier, how you're very collaborative and you will go out of your way to help someone and you get a buzz from helping people. And, you know, whether you view that as selfish or not, I view that as a genuine soul and something that not everyone has. So that's a real gift, that you have that kind of mentality of, I like helping people because it's helping people, you know? But in the show, you don't see that.
No. And what's interesting about how dystopian that is the inaccuracies around how the show is portraying the fashion industry. And I think you'll also know this as well, is the process of making a garment is this. You have a design, you pattern cut it, you make a toile. You realize that there are parts of this toile that you want to alter, you go back to the pattern, you change it, you make a second toile, or if it's okay, you make a production sample. The way that they're presenting that in the show is you make a pattern with no sleep. You use fabrics that are basically forced on you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they present that as a final product.
Oh, that's just
And
shocking.
There are so many steps cut out.
It's so crazy to me.
Yeah.
That they're just calling it like a job interview.
Yes.
This is so inaccurate to how a fashion interview would go. I mean, it's just not how the industry works. And then also to take away so many crucial steps, because people might watch it who actually do want to progress into a career in fashion.
Of course.
It could be their first, the first spark for them is watching us
Exactly, yeah.
flail around headless. And it could have been such a beautiful show that could actually educate and nourish and encourage people to break into the fashion industry. But because it's such a fantasy, I think it ruins any chance of that for me.
No, I agree. I think the fact it's very... That's why my view set, just to kind of backtrack my thought there for a second, is that TV isn't real.
No.
Everything you see on shows like this is not real. What we did was real, but it was under the guise of something that isn't real, which is a process that has been shortened beyond measure. You know, you're not doing any tests, you're not doing any samples, you're creating on no sleep, a high pressure situation because you're making a TV show. So everything about it isn't accurate. But what I think is interesting is that people are, well, firstly, they're seeing that, oh, hang on, why have they done that when that's not really what happens? They've already clocked the inaccuracies. But that, I think, just to turn it into positive for a second, I think that actually anyone who is inspired to get into fashion would probably take something positive away from that and go, you can turn out something quickly, doesn't make it right, but it's an exploration process, which is kind of like all my thing anyway. But I think, going back to patterns for a second,
sure,
between you two, I feel like you two are on the same level when it comes to patterns, whereas I'm on the opposite end of that scale because I self-draft, but I'm not pattern trained. So I don't have that kind of mentality of draft a pattern, do a toile, although I do that, but that's not been drummed into me by an institution or whatever.
Sure.
So I think someone I'm only coming from my point of view of what I would think if I was to watch the show. I would go, I find that quite fun. That's quite interesting to see somebody do that. Maybe I could try.
That's so valid.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, look, you're saying self-drafts. I mean, to me, that's just another term for draping. And draping is a huge part of fashion and patterning and a really valuable part, especially if you're skilled at it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put put it down or anything. I mean, it's just a different way of working.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, I'm
right?
not trying to, be classist about it, but
I
just think
I get that.
it's important, well, for me especially, that anyone who's listening who, like you said, who wants to get into that kind of world, who, because of what we said previously about it being who you know, not what you know,
yes,
is actually sometimes you don't need to know anyone.
Right.
You can just do what you want to do.
Yeah, of course.
And if you want to self-draft something, you can try it. And
absolutely,
the beauty of being a creative community, which I think is highlighted by the fact that we all had each other's backs and we still talk every day and what have you, is that there's usually someone who can help you.
Yes.
So whilst it's not who you know to get somewhere, you can always have that support.
Absolutely.
And you know who that support is? YouTube. YouTube is such an amazing resource for pattern cutters and machinists, actually, because there's so many different facets to pattern cutting. I think you've got sort of tailoring, corsetry, soft tailoring, draping. There's so many different facets of pattern cutting. And I don't know necessarily if it's possible for one person to have that entire encyclopedia.
Oh, not at all.
Brain.
How could you?
I mean, it would just be, maybe McQueen had it, but he's an exception.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, I still to this day, if I am struggling to I made my first corsets recently, which is super exciting.
Oh.
I've never done corsetry before in my life.
I do corsetry.
John is an
I
expert.
should have reached out to you.
Well, it's okay. We can compare notes.
Thank you. It's for someone and they're very tall, very broad, very large busted, and they wanted an underbust corset and an overbust corset for 2 different outfits. And I mean, I wouldn't know where to begin if it wasn't for YouTube.
Yeah.
Because finding books on corsetry is expensive, and if you need the information now and there, YouTube is just incredible. And I was able
digestible.
I was able to watch several videos on corsetry, and the pattern was perfect for the first fitting. I mean, it fit out like a glove. I couldn't believe it.
That's fantastic.
It just really, because I think what you do is you extract those nuggets of information from YouTube and then apply it to your existing skill set.
Yeah.
And then that's how, I don't think anybody who has no prior experience to pattern cutting can dive into a corsetry pattern cutting workshop and get it. The skills are transferable.
Yes.
But I do think, I mean, you're being very humble in your description of it. The fact that YouTube has done the heavy lifting there, which is great. YouTube, I love YouTube. There's so many. If you need to know something, someone's probably done it and done a video on it. But that's real talent.
It isn't. There are things on YouTube that aren't there yet. No,
well,
there are things on YouTube that are not there yet. I mean, I often look for things that aren't there, and you do have to figure out.
Yes,
but that's what I mean. Like your talent, in order to take something that someone's done and then just whip it up, it takes a degree of
degree.
It takes a degree, guys. True, okay, though. As we know, let's go to It takes a certain level of talent to be able to transpose something from a YouTube tutorial into something that works for the first fitting. So I just wanted to put that in there because you were downplaying it a little bit.
No, and it's true. And I struggle with YouTube. YouTube is a fabulous resource. I agree with you. But I find it difficult sifting through videos to find what it is that I actually know that I need. And I wish I could think of a good detailed example right now, but of course I can't. But it's like if I did need to do something very fine, and it's not that it isn't there yet, which you're right, there are plenty of things that are not. But somebody doing a video on, I don't know, putting in an invisible zip, which isn't what I needed, but I'm just thinking of something that might be tricky for someone. And, finding somebody's video with their TV on in the background and they're a weird overhead in the wrong place and they're not really showing you what to do. They're kind of just showing you what they do and they're short. Like I can't work with that.
No.
So I really struggle with that. So I really appreciate and applaud you for being able to find it as a useful resource. I often give up after a few minutes when I can't find what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And then I figure it out myself. I struggle with it.
My bone of contention with YouTube videos and pattern cutting and sampling is that because it's like you said with the invisible zip example, it shows you like a segment of something, and often it's not fully resolved, right? So invisible zip's a really good example because I was recently looking to I was trying to figure out how to do a single welted pocket with an invisible zip on the inside.
Okay.
And on paper it might sound like, okay, that's cool, that's fine, it's kiki, but actually if you're not, it was for like a sportswear thing and I don't really do sportswear. So I was trying to navigate all of that, and you can find welted pockets and you can find invisible zips, but when you get down to the minutiae of finishing the ends of the tape, are you bagging it out with a lining? Are you binding it? How are you finishing it? Where's the finesse? That's what's missing in most YouTube videos. And that's where you apply pre-existing skills to resolve those missing bits.
What I'm hearing is that you need to do YouTube tutorials.
Oh, you'd be fantastic at those. You've got the right aura about yourself.
That's such a big compliment.
You truly...
I mean, as YouTube is such a big influence for me, to think of myself on YouTube is wild.
Oh, no, I think you could do it quite well.
Well, if you want to be my producers, then you just...
Consider it
okay,
done,
we'll
honey.
have a conversation.
Yeah.
You can be the muscle, I'll be the face.
Oh, if I had £1 for every time someone said I can be the muscle, honestly, crazy. No, I genuinely think you'd be great because people, again, going back to my previous comment about the talent needed, is I think you downplay how talented you are, even though you use YouTube tutorials like the rest of us. People would look to you for inspiration because you are inspirational.
Oh,
that's
like such a nice thing to say.
No, but it's true. Like,
I don't know what to say. That's really
not to make it too serious. What should I do? Should I do something crazy? Like hit the mic. Watch me wreck the mic. But genuinely, I think that's another thing that I wanted to mention about the show is that I think people would look to, even though it's not done with the correct process, people would look to people like you on the show and go, wow, he's done X, he's done Y, I can do that too. And take huge inspiration from it and go off and try and do it themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if there are people out there, because you only ever hear the negative. People aren't as quick to shout about the positive.
No, it's very true.
And I think that will be countless examples of people going off and trying their first thing in the fashion world or in the sewing world off the back of something you've done. And I think a YouTube tutorial series, however you would do it, would be huge.
Well, I will definitely cogitate over that heavily. It's something I have thought about before. But again, I think it comes back to like resources as well. I mean, I am every single day trying to find another client and work for the current clients and keep pushing and keep struggling and keep moving forward. And it's sometimes you can't. There's not really space for these extracurricular things.
Yeah,
which is such a shame. I mean, I would love to have more time to work on my own brand and to do really lovely things like that. I mean, and do workshops. I love doing work. Thing I do on the side is I do these like unpaid workshops for, well, I get paid, but they're free to attend. Sorry. So there's a group of artists who get funding from the government, and we put on these workshops for local residents.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
like
the coat.
Like the coat workshop. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool.
Check it out on my YouTube. Not on my YouTube, on my Instagram.
Yes.
I haven't got YouTube yet.
Yes. Well, now you're going to have to start one.
Yeah. I mean, like my life plan was have an established brand at 30, 50% of the way there. And then lecture by 50 is like my dream.
Wow.
I want to be a lecturer at 50.
I feel like you and I are on a similar life path, although I'm way beyond 30 at this point. But
you don't look a day over 25.
Yeah.
So like in the previous podcast, I don't think you really sort of like explained your timeline.
Yeah, let's dive into that.
Oh, in what?
Are you ready?
Well, just more in like so you did several degrees. And you were considering doing a PhD.
Yes.
You have some fabulous issues in V&A. What is your day to day like? What's your story?
So, what's my story? Well, my timeline begins at 4 years old now. Well, it does. But that's only because that's when I started actually drawing clothes and realized I wanted to work in fashion, and that is the truth. And that's just bizarre, but also I love that about myself, and it's nice to know that. So that is that. But I moved to London from Canada when I was 19. I had already been studying fine art in university back home, but I knew that I wanted to do fashion. So that was a stepping stone for me to get into a design program somewhere in the world, wherever that may be. London ended up being the place. I have ancestry rights and dual citizen, so it was easy to be here. And I moved here and I did women's wear, and I did pattern cutting, I did footwear, and I did a master's in footwear. And that was 8 years. And then I got a job at a big brand, and I worked in luxury for quite a few years. And then I ended up working for a startup for about 4 years before doing fully freelance work, which kind of brings us up to like 2018. And prior to lockdown, I was doing just freelance stuff here and there, doing like couture pieces for friends, and I've got some friends who work in the West End and Broadway, and so I need a dress, I need a gown, I need a costume, I need whatever, little things like that. I was at a dinner party just last night and talking about the world of COVID and what that was like, and I was going to say like that time was really interesting because there were very few fashion jobs, and what was one to do? And at first people were like, oh, it's only going to be 3 months of our lives. And I thought, great, I'll have like a good 3-month rest. I won't really need to do very much. And I got bored really easily. I like to do things, and I'm always busy. And so I had decided as a avid home baker that I would, once a week, bake something, cookies, whatever it might be, box them up and send them to like family and friends up and down the UK, because why not? And my then partner, now husband, Lee, was like, look, if you're already doing that, why aren't you looking to monetize it? Why aren't you looking to turn it into a business? Because I don't
Such a
have
him
that
thing to
mind.
say.
I know, I was going to say.
Yeah.
So, a week later, it was, proper sealing of baked goods. It was proper packaging and branding and cards and ingredients cards and all these sorts of things. And it turned into a really fabulous little business that I ran relatively consistently for about 3 years.
Wow.
And I still do little things here and there. In fact, just this morning I did a pie for somebody, and I do celebration cakes for people and wedding cakes and things like that, because those are one-off jobs and I can sort of isolate time in my schedule. But you mentioned like my day-to-day. So since then, my day-to-day is pretty much working on couture for people and a lot of freelance, like custom pieces. I just did a collaboration with a friend of ours, Nicole, for London Sustainable Fashion Week. So we did like a capsule collection for them. Now I'm back to doing my couture work. I've got a client in Canada that I'm doing 3 pieces for. And it is just a little bit of costume and clothes for television. I've done stuff for film. I've done stuff for the West End, and people, word of mouth, friends, family come to me. I need a gown. I need this. I need a suit, whatever it might be. But I also really enjoy kind of giving back. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of people that I like to make things for just because I like to make things for them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a question of, how am I going to capitalize on it? It's more, how am I going to enjoy the process? What am I going to teach myself? How exciting is it going to be to see them open this box, open the ribbon, open it up? What is it? Oh my God. Like I just really like all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you made the suit for Nicole.
Oh yeah, that's actually a perfect example. Nicole saw me wearing this lace suit that I had made, which was a no-waist suit, which I know is something that we were speaking about earlier. And she really loved it. And I said, I'll make you one. And she's like, okay. And then I reached out to her like a few days later. So when can we get together? When can I measure you? And it was sort of, you're joking. Why would you make me something? Like, nobody does that. And it's like, no, but I do that. I do that all the time. Like, and there have been pieces that I've done that I've really put work into, custom made fabric and all sorts of things that, I would benefit being paid for, but I'd rather keep those in my archive than see them go. So those ones, often it's exciting to see people enjoy wearing them, but it's also exciting to have them returned, except when people don't return them. That is a story we can talk about off camera. But that, in a nutshell, that is sort of my day to day, I guess. I'm often pattern cutting. I'm creating, garments. I've got my sewing machines up. I'm ordering fabric, getting it custom made, picking stuff up, like going around town. I've got a whole storage unit full of fabrics I've collected or have been given to me over the years that if I want something with like a vintage feel, I remember that silk I got 25 years ago when I was traveling, and I'll just go
treasure trove.
Yeah, and it's great. And my dad used to do that, but mom especially, she'd be traveling, I don't know, Poland or wherever, and she'd see a fabric store and she'd think like smartly, like, I don't know what you need, but I also know that 3 meters of a single fabric is always enough to make at least a garment. So I have a lot of 3-meter chunks of really beautiful materials that my parents have picked up while traveling.
Glorious.
And they're all in storage. And so I every so often go pick those out and kind of work with them. And
this is why he has shoes on the B&A.
Yeah, I was going to say, oh my God, taste.
But I wasn't doing the patterns for the shoes. I was employed to be their designer.
No, but it's very you to have, like, everything you just said is very, to hark back to a previous comment about that will inspire someone.
Oh, sure.
Because that whole journey you've just explained,
a smush of stuff, but
is someone somewhere will go, that's amazing.
Well, that's very kind.
I'm just going to go for it.
Oh, well, that's incredibly kind.
You have this amazing gift, and I know I've said this before to you, but you do have this amazing gift of whatever you're doing, you make it work in such a quality way.
Thank you.
Like the wedding suits for the guys in Sweden.
Oh yeah, that was fun. Yeah,
I did some wedding suits for some guys in Sweden, and that was stunning.
Ivory tuxedos.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, really beautiful.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah.
Like a jacquard, and this other one was like silk crepe. It was really beautiful.
Yeah,
really lovely. I'll show you pictures out.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
So it must have been such a nightmare to work with such a delicate color and fabric.
Well, I'll tell you, if I didn't have this miracle soap from my sister-in-law, and I have no idea where she got it from, it was like a yellow brick that was sort of like spongy and like sticky at the same time.
Ooh.
That was a genius because it got sewing machine grease out of a white satin lapel.
Interesting.
That was black grease.
I'm gonna need that.
I will find out for you. If it wasn't for that, it would have been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Uh-huh.
Or the time when my iron, which I clean once a week,
It
decided to spout out
just
brown
gunk.
like in the pattern of the iron, like, right? You know?
If I had a fucking penny for every time I have a Tracker Scott brand, let me tell you.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to worry then, would you?
Irons, thick or
Yes,
thin.
I know. And we talked about my iron recently.
We have,
Sorry about
yeah.
that. But I wanted to ask, just before, we run out of time, your experiences on the show, and you were specifically talking about the group projects and having to do the work in the evenings. And my question about that, because I know I would find that very difficult. I like to have space when I'm doing drafting. I don't do it on the floor. I have my table. I appreciate that's maybe me being a little bit nitpicky, but I also struggle when I'm out of my element. And I'm just really curious, when you, both of you really, but especially Daylan, as you've been on the show a little bit longer. Sorry, Chris.
No, please do.
When you were in
Not
at all. When I'm a beacon of light. When you were
Beacon of shite.
Yeah,
well,
sure,
either
Jen.
way.
Yeah.
When you were in that situation, though, was everybody there with pattern drafting tools? Did you bring everything with you? Did you prepare blocks and patterns and other things well before attending the show that you could just pull out that evening and be like, okay, I'm already making this? Or was it everything from scratch? Like, because that's a very limited amount of time,
Yeah.
as you say, with people you didn't really know, to have to come up with something and draft it and not be able to make any kind of sample, mock-up 12, whatever you want to call it, and go straight into it. Like, how did you actually do that? I would really have struggled with that.
It was difficult to navigate, and
Yes.
I can't speak for other people's experiences.
Sure.
because Once we had agreed what we were doing, we would then separate.
Okay.
We would do our own
Sure.
thing. Because we had to, speak to our partners and recover from the day.
Yes.
And eat.
And eat.
Yes, of course.
So, like, from my experience, I came fully equipped. Like, I was prepared for there to be like things that I would have to do in the hotel room that required cutting equipment.
Yes.
I don't know why I found that so difficult to say.
Yes.
Pattern cutting equipment. So like I was prepared, but like you said, you need space, you need a table.
Yes.
And at the time I was 30 years old. I cannot be on my hands and knees for more than 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is usually all it takes. So
But you say that to all the boys.
it was it was difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a little round table. Well, I had a little round table in my room, and I
Yes.
was like pattern cutting segments of a big piece of pattern paper.
Sure.
To
Of
try and
course.
do it, but it was difficult and without sleep. So
Yeah. I was using the
that.
floor.
the fact that we were able to
Yeah.
produce anything
Yes.
in that is in itself a miracle.
Well, again, without knowing what the formula of the show would be before it aired, because, how would I?
Yeah.
Mm.
I would have just assumed it would be, like you say, filming over 2 days or over 3 days, and there'd be a segment for each project where they would see, which we would see all of you in that room where all the machines are, mocking up patterns, cutting paper, like pinning it all, like. But there wasn't any of that, and
There was
I
none.
figured that was just the edit. I didn't realize that actually that was not part of your time on the show. That was in your own time in the evenings.
The drafting the patterns was
Mhm.
yes, but when we were actually on set, all of the fabric cutting, and we had story producers that were asking us questions as we were being shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of those questions were about what we were working on, so we would talk through the parts of construction of different garments, whatever that we were all working on. And
Yeah.
so much of it would have been super interesting for people that want to know more about garment
Yeah.
construction or like what
Yes.
it's like to make clothes, and they just didn't include any of it.
I was quite surprised that they didn't include those kind of conversations because
Yeah.
although I know the show is about the end product in a way, that's
Yes.
kind of the focus, isn't it? Of-
Yeah, it seems it's very much about the result.
It feels that way.
Yes,
Yeah.
not the journey.
But people watching won't come from that mentality. They're used to shows like Sewing Bee, aren't they? And that kind of formula.
Yes.
So they want to see the process that goes into it rather than
yes.
the jacket you made or whatever it is you happened to make at the time.
Yeah, well, it's interesting.
What is scandalous is just after you left,
Yeah.
someone, I don't know who it was, but someone was exposed to having used bought patterns. And why it's significant, because part of the requirement for us to be on the show is that we had to provide our own patterns.
Yeah, it all had to be our own, yeah.
So after someone was exposed as using purchased patterns, they had the sewing team, the technicians before filming each day, the technicians had to check our paper patterns.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Did they?
Oh my goodness.
And not to blow smoke on my ass, but I loved it when they checked my patterns because they had no fucking clue what they were looking at. I would get out these pattern pieces and they were like, what is this? I mean, it was just glorious for me. But it was scandalous. Someone actually, and this was, several episodes in, had been exposed as to using bought patterns.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
I know it's not a sewing bee show, but it is still a fashion program where you are making clothes. And I would think that's one of the bare minimums, is that you do not use.
Well, yeah, that's how they're angling it, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it was to be M&S's next fashion designer. Emphasis on the fashion design.
Like if you had said somebody had purchased basic blocks that they didn't draft themselves, I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever. What's the big deal? Because at least you are manipulating those into something else. But that's not a store-bought pattern.
Yeah.
That's a completely different game.
Oh, heard it here first, folks.
I would one day love to have a conversation with whoever that person is.
Yes.
About, the story behind that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, scandalous, really.
Wow. Yeah, that's you don't do that.
The convenience of that coming out after I've left is typical because
it would have been
I
you?
missed all the it would have been me. Oh my god, it was me. That's why they kicked me out.
No, I'm joking.
Rumor mill. Yeah, I missed all the juice. Wow, didn't know that. Yeah.
So for someone that might want to break into the fashion industry,
yes,
in 2025, let's say that they want to, like, new year, new me, going to start fashion, with so many obstacles and adversely so many resources in place for people, like, in your opinion, what would someone's journey look like? What would the start of their journey be into the realm of the fashion industry, specifically pattern cutting and sampling?
Right.
That's a very good question.
What area are we talking about? I mean, if it's pattern cutting and sampling, I mean, I'd say at the very least, if you don't have any formal training, like obviously you and I do, you really need to step up your draping game, I would say. You really need to show that you understand fabric and the different types of fabrics and how they work against the body. I mean, the amount of times I've seen people say, I don't know why my bias dress stretched. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Right? Like it wasn't 20 centimeters longer yesterday. Like it's just right. Like the weight anyway. So, things like that. So I think at the very least, know your draping, know your body. I wouldn't say you need a dress form, but for me, it's always been a real saving grace. It's always just at least something to work on. And I know that's really been quite good for myself. And I will give advice that's been given to me for the modern world that I don't very rarely listen to, which is document everything, film everything, photograph everything, show your journey that way. Because I think at least if you can show your skill or your development of your skill.
Absolutely.
And grasp people's interest and be engaging that way. I think that, especially I say in this modern world that we live in, I sound so old saying that, I think that can be quite an in for people, not unlike being on television, right? Where people start to see you, your personality, the work that you're doing, and how you're shaping it. And I would think that's a very good starting off point if you're not looking to go through the route of I'm going to university or I've just come out of university and I've got all these skills that have been given to me. But what would you say?
Oh, I mean, I skipped such a huge part of pattern cutting that would have just propelled me into more clients, and that is digital pattern cutting.
Oh, me too. I actively avoided it.
Yeah, it's a crux. Yeah. It's a crux for me now because so many brands have migrated towards using Cloak 3D, the pattern cut, and Gerber pattern cut is another big one.
Yes.
I've avoided it because it doesn't give me any dopamine.
No, same.
And so I've avoided it. But in terms of like the fashion industry now, it's a requirement. So like anybody that's interested, you need to get
absolutely
on
top tip. Heard it here first.
Really get into it, because even if you don't have completely absent of a degree, having a competent skill level in Clo or Gerber is just a job. That's money.
It's a very good point, and I've wiped that from my mind. I studied Gerber. I learned how to use it, and I didn't like it, and so I haven't touched it in, my God, 14 years.
Why?
Yeah.
It's so linear and it's so black and white.
Yes.
It's the same with Lectra.
Boring.
I learned on Lectra. I think I lasted about 2 weeks, and then I was like, it's just not, I can't do it.
Yeah.
There's something so, it makes you feel like so artisanal working with the paper.
I know.
It's
well, because it's the tactile nature of it, isn't it?
Well, it's the traditionalist in you, I think, because I identify in that myself.
I think that, with the rise of AI and jobs that are getting taken over by AI, I think it's people like us that actually will dodge that, because the way that the fashion industry is moving, and how this could be a whole other podcast about how luxury fashion is actually now fast fashion. And people that have real money, the 0.01% of the population, want fashion that is unrecognizable. They want those one-off artisanal Loro Piana fabric items of clothing, and those can only be done by artisans who do that with a machine. And people like us who sort of hold on to the traditions, hopefully will stand the test of time.
I think so. Which is an excellent cue to segue into your brand.
My brand. I have a brand.
Yeah.
Like air quotes.
Yeah. There's no air quotes at all. You have a brand.
It's so funny to like call it a brand.
No, but it is a brand, and I think we're going to again link everything in on socials and stuff. But you have a brand, and that is kind of your ethos, isn't it? So we're about to wrap up the pod, and we're going to kind of probably end it soon. But I think the right thing to end it on is to end on what you do and how people can get involved in what you do.
What do I do? So I do have a brand. My brand is Buiseid, which is my middle name. It's my mum's maiden name in Gaelic, and my mum's used to write her letters, and used to call her Buiseid.
Okay.
And then she gave it to me as a middle name, and I started using it when I was at uni. To sort of like defend my designs, because my lecturers would, you can't do that. That's not going to work, whatever. Now, by having it under a brand name, I sort of felt that it reinforced my conviction.
Yeah.
And then, when I graduated and started making stuff for my friends and family under the name Buiseid, and then I started doing capsule collections, and I did an amazing photo shoot with a group of super cool queer people that you can see on my Instagram. And I'm working on my next capsule, which I'm hoping to release in November, because I'm also doing a pop-up with Curiosities.
Amazing.
Yes, amazing. When's that? What's
1st, 2nd, 3rd of November.
Fab.
Is it a ticketed thing?
No, it's free to attend. It's in Peckham.
Amazing.
Wonderful.
Group of queer artists and queer designers who will be selling their wares.
Amazing. I'll also link that in socials, so you can know what and where and how and who.
But the significance of Buiseid is that I only use waste, and I've described myself previously as a bottom feeding fish cleaning up the floor of the fashion industry.
Oh, that's good.
Because I like to be subversive with what I make. I don't want people to instantly think that it's made from waste. I think there's something so hilarious about people in the fashion industry spending thousands of pounds on something that's actually made from junk that actually costs nothing. But because you put so much effort into making it so beautifully made and considered design, and it becomes such a lovely, beautiful luxury piece of clothing that's actually made from shit that you found in a charity shop.
So
I think it's hilarious.
It shows that fashion can do it.
I love it.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I assume you're open for commissions if anyone wants to get involved.
Yeah, I love it. I actually I can't say who it's for, but I'm doing. There's 2 music artists currently that I'm doing some work for, and I'm doing 3 outfits for this woman's world tour. Which
amazing, incredible.
And there's another artist, this amazing queer artist who I'm just in love with. I'm doing a look for their tour.
Amazing.
And I'm really enjoying doing this sort of custom stuff, because I get to within reason dictate what the design is, which I don't get to do often when I'm freelancing because you have to execute someone else's vision.
Yes.
So for this, I actually get to say, this is what I've made for you.
That's
and they're
amazing.
like, love it. And it's fucking amazing.
Yes.
So I'd love to do more.
The joy from you is infectious right now.
Yeah,
I love
so
it.
Beyonce, if you're watching, I would love to make you something. Just hit me up.
Oh, is that her on the line now? Hi.
Just throwing money at me.
Make it rain. So how can people get in touch with you?
Reach out on my Instagram. I do have a website, which you can see on my Instagram bio. You could send message pigeon, or just feelings through the ether.
Great.
Okay.
You are a medium of the people, so you will just pick up on thoughts via telepathy.
Fashion for the people by the people.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
As it should be.
That's glorious.
Oh, pro tip, for people that want to like learn how to pattern cut, which I totally swear by, make your own clothes.
Yeah.
Make your own clothes.
Yeah, practice makes perfect.
It is just such an excellent way to exercise a skill set and to expand on that sort of toolbox of skills is make your own clothes. It is scandalous to me when I work with university students that don't make their own clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was at uni, like you have a project that you have to work on, but it's niche specific, briefed for that. And you have to work within that, right? But if you really want to expand your knowledge and you really want to embrace pattern cutting and embrace sampling and learn more, make your own clothes.
Perfect.
From waste, preferably.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
agreed.
it kind of has to be now, really, I think. We've kind of crossed the line. What a glorious thing to end on.
It's my nugget.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Definitely make your own clothes and reach out to Daylan if you want to know more. We're going to put it on the usual places, Spotify, Apple, Pornhub, YouTube soon, actually. So you'll be able to see all past episodes and this episode and future ones on YouTube right after you've watched Daylan's tutorial.
I was just going to say, we'll link it up with Daylan's YouTube channel.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining us.
This has been, I could just waffle to you for hours. I love it.
I could listen to it
that's
for
what
hours.
we do. So you're in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, this is, we get creatives in a room, we won't shut up. The next one, again, will be in a month's time, so it'll be November. We'll put out details of what that's going to be about and who the guest will be. Until then, I'm going to just dash off to Rome next week, if anyone doesn't mind, for my birthday. Sorry about it. Happy birthday, me. But yes, thank you very much for listening, and reach out if you have any questions for either of us or for Daylan.
Exactly.
And see you next time.
Yes, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye everyone.